Welcome to Economics is Everywhere, where we debate current events and issues through the macroeconomic lens. We hope these debates will be edifying as well as entertaining. It's our aim to disagree without being disagreeable so that the discussion will continue and more thoughtful solutions to modern problems will be discovered. Our teams present two sides of a topic so that you, the viewing audience, will be better informed. Scoring for this debate is more heavily weighted towards content than technique. However, it probably goes without saying that the effectiveness of the presentation is often what wins the day, especially in a close debate. Today's topic on Economics is Everywhere debates the pros and cons of welfare reform. The government currently provides welfare checks, housing assistance, food stamps, and Medicaid to those who qualify. Much of the welfare programs can trace their history to the Great Society of the 1960s. Since that time, more programs have been added and adaptations have been made to bring us to the welfare system we have today. We're not debating old problems from past iterations of the welfare system, and all of us agree that the current system is not perfect. What we are debating is whether the welfare system is more costly than beneficial. First, the pro team will argue using classical economic theory to persuade us that the current system is inefficient and that the costs outweigh the benefits. Next, the con team argues against any proposed changes in policy. They'll be relying on Keynesian economic theory to support their position and to persuade us to trust in the government. Let us debate.
Before we discuss what's wrong, we need to ask ourselves, what exactly is welfare and what does it mean? Welfare, by definition, means the good fortune, health, and happiness and prosperity of a person or group of organization. When you say you're in charge of someone's welfare or well-being, you are there to make their lives livable and worth living. That is what the system today does. It gives hope to those in need, and it does not want to live in a. It does not. I do not want to live in a society where people have needs that are overlooked by stuck-up and selfish people. I want to help them get them back on their feet. Without backing of our political spine, our people would crumble and become destitute.
The welfare system that the United States is using today is dragging down our nation and needs to be reformed. Evidence indicates that children and parents that are actively harmed rather than helped by welfare. The way it's set up is causing people that are on it to become dependent and cause them to struggle to get off welfare. There are many problems with the welfare system that we have today, such as the welfare trap, the increased number of people that are on welfare, and the abuse of the welfare system, such as using food stamps for the wrong reasons.
Many people today are afraid of making too much money while they're on welfare. They don't try as hard to get a job because they can lose their welfare. Welfare should make it mandatory that you have to find some type of job on the books. This will aid in the economy and also help the person get back on their feet and eventually get the person off welfare for good.
2 out of 3 people on welfare are women with an average of 2 children. Women are oftentimes left with the children alone. They have to work, take care of the house and the children alone. Childcare is extremely expensive, especially for a woman working at minimum wage. Most jobs do not assist with childcare, therefore mothers are forced to leave their children at home alone or with an untrustworthy party. Along with the expensive childcare, they have living expenses such as rent, food, utilities, etc. With the help of welfare, single parents can pay for childcare while they are at work and have assistance in paying for other bills. Welfare also assists them by providing programs where parents can further their education so they can find better jobs. If the government was to remove themselves, all of these people would fall into poverty because no one would be willing to help financially, and expenses would only increase.
So you guys saying there's no way to improve the welfare system that we have right now? I think there's many ways to improve it. One way would be actually offering jobs to the people that are on welfare, doing something called workfare, and giving them jobs to work in the welfare departments, and like maybe causing creating a babysitting company for these moms that you're talking about that are scared to give their kids over to untrustworthy people or don't have the money to pay for babysitting jobs so they can go work another job.
Well, maybe it's just me or you, but you have to realize that the government itself does not create jobs. People create jobs. The money we spend in taxes, which you guys must say that we spend too much on taxes, but the money we put in taxes is funded towards public civils, where we build buildings and create jobs, but the people, we create jobs. And if there's no money in the system, which we are handing out to these people so that they can eventually put money back into the system, because the welfare money goes back into our GDP, which is then recycled to the economy, these people then spend this money and help create civility. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with this welfare system currently to your extent.
Now, the current welfare system is made to make people self-sufficient, and with the workforce that we have, the workfare, that would help people become self-sufficient. It would give them skills for the job force. It would make them more desirable to have jobs by future employers. It would also help them get off their feet and provide for their families and essentially just make them self-sufficient, which is what the welfare system is for. But with the current welfare trap, we're not allowed to do that. It's just making them dependent on the welfare system itself.
And how do you propose we create this workfare? Just conjure up some money. You do realize that a lot of people on welfare also aren't able to work. It has nothing to do with their unwillingness to work. It's the fact that some people can't work, whether they're on disability, people still receive welfare. Whether they're pregnant and on food stamps, those people can also not work. Maybe they can up to 5 months, but you're not going to be cycling through employees every 5 months because these people are pregnant. Also, the money that we are handing out is used to help these people get back on their feet. 50% of the people that were on welfare 10 years ago are not on welfare today. So I can't see how you would say that this money you guys are going to spend to get people out of this welfare trap when 50%, which is half, our people aren't on the welfare. So I can't see how it's a trap, because 10 years ago, they're not on it today.
Well, 10 years ago, the population was also a lot smaller. The population has also increased, so it might not even be 50% now. For all we know, it might be 10%, maybe 25% at best. If we create the workforce, it gives people jobs, makes them self-sufficient. So that way, that's how the welfare system would benefit people. It wouldn't cost them anything at all. Right now, the welfare system is really costly towards the people and towards the people providing it, with having them cost money they've hard-earned, they worked for, and they have to pay other people. Now, those people do need money to work for, but the hard-earned people shouldn't have to just hand over money like that.
Percentages are relative, so regardless whether population went up, it would stay the same. Also, the money that we take out of our paychecks, let's say you make $350 a week, most people lose about $50. So you lose $50, which is 1/7 of your paycheck. Not necessarily a big number, but that $50 goes to somebody who's in need. And these people, like Hannah said, most of them are women. So these women are taking care of their children. They don't have all sorts of time. They don't have, and this money is still going to them anyway to afford childcare. So, and childcare is expensive. And how are you going to create jobs for people that need money if these people can't work in the first place? It's not that there's no jobs to these people. It's that they can't work because they're unable to work. Also, how do you know people are even abusing the system at all? Do you have any statistics or anything about people abusing it? I believe I grabbed a percentage of 2%, a measly 2% out of everyone who was ever on welfare was actually caught abusing it. 2%, that's any system. That is a minimal amount. I don't see how 2% is anything to fret about.
You say it's only 2%, but there are over 100 million people on welfare today, so that's at least 2 million people abusing the system. Since there are hundreds of billions of dollars going in, that's at least $1 billion that are abused every year, not just over the course of many years. And also setting up systems that will allow mothers to have daycare, saying companies could get tax benefits for setting up those systems, allowing mothers to have their kids at a place that they know is safe, secure, they won't have to worry, they could go to their jobs, pick up their kids, and also setting up, say a mother doesn't have a job, she could then work at a daycare center, providing for her family as taking care of other people's kids. This wouldn't cost the government any money other than setting up the programs initially and then just making sure the system is working. In your case, the mothers have to then leave their kids with unsafe people. We're allowing them to have a safe environment for the kids while also getting job and money to feed their kids. And that $50 that comes out of our paycheck, maybe it's not as beneficial to us, but maybe it is the $50 that would allow us to feed our kids a little extra. It may be totally necessary for you, but we could also still use it as well. It's not just $50 to some people. It is a lot. That's still 1/7. That's a pretty high percentage.
That 100 million is wrong because the United States population is 311 million, and there is no way that 1/3 of the United States is on welfare. Also, you do realize that you have to be trained to work in daycare. They don't just willy-nilly hand a woman over. It's like, oh, you need a job, and oh, you seem kind of trustworthy. I think I'm going to put you in a position of and taking care of other people's children. Maybe people don't want that. She said about unpleasant parties and people being watching people or have your people watching children. That doesn't help you.
Well, the debate will continue. We won't settle it here, and we've run out of time. But I do want to hear one last closing statement from everybody that got together for the debate today. Go ahead, Pro.
In conclusion, we have stated that the welfare system is inefficient because it allows mothers to not have places to send their kids to daycare safely. They have to put people who they don't trust to take care of them to work for money that is not enough. Also, there is a trap set up making people dependent on the welfare system rather than allowing them to get back up on their feet, find jobs, and get training so they don't need welfare. Also, people do abuse the system, and that is a lot of money that could be used to help same mothers pay for their children to get food and pay for that child care and everything. So the system is broken, and the government is doing nothing to fix it. They are just dumping money into it, letting people abuse it, letting mothers go without money to pay for child care and pay for food, and also letting people abuse it and buy things that are not meant for it, say using food stamps to buy illegal drugs and also alcohol, rather than using that food to pay for regular food like bread and milk and eggs. They are just abusing the system. Thank you.
She has 80 names, 30 addresses, 12 Social Security cards, and is collecting veteran benefits for 4 non-existing deceased husbands. She is collecting Social Security on her cards. She's got Medicaid, she's also getting food stamps, and she's collecting welfare under each of her names. Her tax-free cash income is over $150,000. Yeah, someone like this should be jailed and should be arrested. Too bad she does not exist. Like Reagan's phony speech, thus became the stereotypical welfare person. In 2010, the Los Angeles Times put on an article that stated 24% of the new welfare applications in the San Diego County contain some sort of fraud. However, this was not true, and this article had zero evidence behind it. Like he also said, only 2%, actually 1.9% of welfare is fraud, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. The thing is, welfare isn't a problem. It's the idea of what you have in your head of what welfare really is. I can say for the people that are actually on it, it's beneficial. It helps them get off, and it gives families and people who don't have jobs or lost their jobs, like recently through the big crash, a means to support their family and pay for their houses and just have a warm meal and a nice bed to sleep in. Thanks.
Thank you very much for a spirited debate and a heartfelt discussion about the topics involved. I hope that you'll continue the debates as well. I'd like to thank them, the participants, for their preparation and their intensity. I'd like to thank the Handsome and Debonair team at Viking Technologies for the assistance in the production of this video. And I'd like you all to remember that economics is everywhere. Thank you. Good.